Hello, everybody, and welcome to Forever Sport. And we have officially got the Rugby World Cup draw, which means that we can officially do a bit of a simulation of kind of what the draw is going to look like when it comes to playoffs, the brackets, and potential roads to the final. And if you're New Zealand or South Africa, you're probably not particularly happy with the draw because at this stage, those two sides are set to meet in the quarterfinal stage, and the potential winners to potentially meet France. So we're going to basically go through the entire system, explain how it works, and then basically do a complete simulation based on the draws that have been confirmed. Before we do that, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Right, so those are your pools. Pool A, B, C, D, E, F have been confirmed. And basically, there was 4 bands, 6 teams in each band, and they've all gone into a different group. Now, what we're going to do for the simulation is we're going to assume that basically things stay as they are in their group. That, you know, your number 1 ranked side finishes number 1, 2, 3, etc., etc. Because we can't really speculate. I'm going to do a video about what I think is going to potentially happen, my early predictions. But for the sake of the simulation, we're going to simply stick with the world rankings and kind of which teams are ranked higher and basically go with that, because that's basically just the fairest and the easiest way of kind of doing things. So in terms of that, we're then going to say that these are going to be the final pool standings will remain over there. So as you can see, the teams sort of in gray over there, they've been eliminated. So if you finish 4th, you do not progress. And, if you finish 3rd, then some of them will progress, because this is the bracket system. And this is where it gets a bit complicated, because if you finish your pool at the top, you sometimes will play, well, you might play a second ranked side or a third ranked side. It's not all the same. Similarly, if you're a second ranked side in your pool, you might play a first ranked side or a similar second ranked side. So we're going to assume that this is kind of the case, that these are the final pool standings. And what that then does is what we're going to do is I'm going to say that Georgia are going to finish the best third. Spain, Tonga, and USA. I've just said Georgia. I think the highest ranked side over there. I think Tonga in a group with Wales and Zimbabwe, an opportunity for them to potentially get a big points difference. USA, I think Japan are a bit closer than the likes of then a Uruguay, Scotland, for example. And I put USA because I'm hoping that USA and Tonga, Spain. Spain was the one I need to justify. Fiji, Argentina, Spain, Canada. I don't think there's potential opportunities for Spain there. But again, it could all be completely random. So that's not the point. The point is, once that happens, this is what happens with your semifinals. And it all gets a little bit complicated, in perfectly honest. So sorry, I'm just going to do a better way of showing it in that, because it's going to be complicated with regards to how this all looks. And I'm a bit worried about everything, I'm going to be perfectly honest, given the fact that as a Bok fan, it doesn't look good for where we're going. And but yeah, so if you look at our at the brackets over there, and kind of what the situation is, this is then kind of what we have in the knockouts and in the quarterfinals, which is for South Africa also round of 16 rather. So we start with the round of 16, and it looks something like this. So from the round of 16 point of view, it is New Zealand versus Georgia based on the simulation that we have run. It is South Africa versus Spain. So it's a pretty straightforward game for us, as we kind of sort of thought and we know. It's Fiji versus Wales, France versus Scotland, Australia versus Japan, England versus Italy, Argentina versus Tonga, Ireland versus USA. So if you look at the round of 16, for example, your big matches, Fiji, Wales, over there, France, Scotland, and Australia, Japan, probably potentially one. But in general, there's also some pretty one-sided affairs. New Zealand versus Georgia in a round of 16 game could be a big score. A South Africa versus Spain could also be a big score. Your Argentina versus Tonga could be a very big score. Your Ireland versus USA should be a very big score. So that is how the round 16 then works based on the standings that we've got. Then we've got to then basically sim. So now we're going to say that New Zealand's going to beat Georgia. So they go into the quarterfinals there. And we're saying that South Africa beats Spain. So they go into the quarterfinals there. Then we're going to say Fiji currently ranked higher than Wales. They win that game. France currently ranked higher than Scotland. They win that game. Australia and so and so and so. So we're basically going with all the home teams winning their quarterfinals. I mean, their round of 16 games. So now we get to the quarterfinals. Now this is where people are sort of having an issue with the system, because you've not only got New Zealand versus South Africa. That is your number 1 ranked side against your number 2 ranked side. Then you've got Fiji versus France. France are ranked 5th, by the way, in the bands, and Fiji down in 8th. So 5 versus 8 in the quarterfinals at the same time as 1 versus 2. Australia is taking on England. There'll always be a home game because Australia being home. But England are the 3rd ranked side, and they'll play against the 7th ranked side. So you've got 3 versus 6, 5 versus 8. Sorry, 3 versus 7, 5 versus 8, 1 versus 2. And then Argentina versus Ireland, which is 4 versus 6. So you can see where the issues come over here is that we've got 2 massive quarterfinals in New Zealand, South Africa, and Argentina, Ireland. All sides ranked in the top 6 going into this band. So if we continue the simulation then, and we say that South Africa wins because they're ranked higher, France wins because they're ranked higher, England win because they're ranked higher, and Ireland win because they're ranked higher. Then those are your semifinals. You then have South Africa versus France, England versus Ireland. So now by the time you get to the semifinals, you're now looking at, the top teams. And in fairness, as it stands right now, you will have, obviously 4 teams from band 1, but you've already not got Argentina, which is fine. They're ranked 6th, but you don't have New Zealand, which are ranked 2nd. So already by the semi-final stage, your 2nd ranked side, when this draw was taken, is not going to feature, and your 5th ranked side is going to feature. And I think that's immediately kind of the problems there. And then, for example, you then simulate this, and you go and say South Africa's ranked higher right now, so they go into the final. Right now, England are ranked higher than Ireland. So England are going to go into the final. You then have a South Africa versus England final, which means that you've now got a 1 versus 3 final, which in theory you'll go sit there saying, well, that's the right decision. My biggest problem is that there probably should have been seedings, because South Africa and New Zealand being the number 1 and 2 should be on either sides of the draw. And after that, kind of becomes a bit more fair game. But basically, that's kind of where the simulation looks. So if you're New Zealand, for example, you have to go and beat Georgia, South Africa, potentially France to get to the final. If you're South Africa, you have to be a potential like a Spain, then New Zealand, then a France. England have to beat Italy, then Australia, and then Ireland. So England, for example, have to, in this simulation, have to beat Italy, who are the 9th ranked side, 10th ranked side in the world right now. They have to be the 10th ranked side in the world, followed by the 7th ranked side in the world, and they're in the semifinals. So they don't play a team in the top 6 and they get to the semifinals. Similarly, for example, Argentina have to play Tonga, but then Ireland immediately. France are the same. They have to beat Scotland in this scenario, which are the 9th ranked side, and Fiji, which are the 8th ranked side. Not Scotland, Australia. Australia have to beat Japan, who are the 12th ranked side, and then after that have to play on England. So it becomes a little bit frustrating. I mean, Fiji getting to a quarterfinal up against, Wales, for example, who are ranked below them, and then in the next round after that, then they take on a France, but South Africa play on Spain, for example, which is fine, and then all of a sudden play New Zealand. So that's where I think the problem comes in. But it's just a simulation. Obviously, things can still change. The problem is I just don't really see a situation where where these don't really become. I think the only groups which might not end up like this are maybe Pool D. Maybe Scotland really come up and Ireland struggle. Maybe Fiji beat Argentina. But I don't think there's that many spaces for potential upsets, which means the simulation is pretty close on what I think we probably will see. So what are your thoughts on that? Let me know down in the comments below. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steve, and I'll chat to you soon.